got a haircut, 21 years of dreadlocks. Y'all should have been tired of looking at them. I was. They became a job. I don't want a hairstyle that's a job anymore. It became a burden. Plus, some people were telling me they were part of my image. You should have never told me that. They was going bye-bye because I don't want my hair to be my image. I want my work to be my image. You feel me? You feel me? That superficial, it comes and it goes. So, before I get started, as y'all may have heard, I may have had a slight medical crisis over the weekend. Y'all, real talk. Indiana's on almost bit the dust this past weekend, but we still here because obviously the work ain't done yet. And I want to thank everybody for all the love and prayers and support and all the people that came out to the hospital to see about me. My suggestion to here I was all this time. I talk about my bariatric surgery and, how I've been able to keep the 120 pounds off, for the last 6 years. And I thought I was doing everything the right way. Well, just keeping the weight off ain't all I got to do. I got more work to do, and that's making sure that I'm getting all the stuff that I need inside my body. And trust me, this was a wake-up call to handle my business a little bit better. And while I'm loving on y'all in 92 counties, I'm going to do a little bit better in loving on me because we got work to do, y'all. This party ain't over. It's just getting started. But thank you for the love and the prayers and all of that because I felt all of that anointing. I felt all of that anointing on me. I did. So thank y'all very much. So let's talk politics, baby. We got us a debate tonight. It's going down tonight. Y'all know I really ain't really there with the 2020 people. I've been focusing on 2019. But it's going to be interesting because it's going to be a smaller group this go around. So y'all get ready for that. But I wanted to tell you there's a guy in Fishers in Westfield who has decided that he might run against Mr. Holcomb. He might have a primary opponent. So what's his name here? I forget what his name, but he apparently lives in Westfield, and there might be some Republicans that ain't happy with the way the Republican governor lied about taking care of teachers in public schools and actually didn't do it. I'm just saying. Or it might be talking about how we were supposed to be fixing infrastructure and doing the things that we need for regular everyday folks and didn't do it. I mean, nobody's actually going to fire him for not being Mike Pence because you got to be Mike Pence to actually get fired, which, he should have been fired and he was going to get fired. And then the orange idiot picked him up.
We gave him a new job.
Hey, they promote idiots up, man. They promote them up. You know what I'm saying? So you suck this governor. Hey, come be the vice president.
You ain't the smartest one.
No, obviously not. Shit, I see the president, vice president, attorney general right here at this table. I'm just saying.
Let's go.
Let's roll, baby. So listen, I'm curious to see what that's going to look like, to see if he's actually going to get in that race and make it happen. But you know what? It's been an interesting week, and I actually was tuned out, so I don't have a whole lot to rant about. So let's just get to my guests. First off, let me just tell y'all this. First time I met this cat, and I'm straight up calling him cat, because that's how you know. That's when you know that's your boy, right? First time I met this cat, I was like, yo, Miguel Hampton, who's this, bruh? First of all, Indiana, if you don't know what's going on down in New Albany, down in southern Indiana, down in Jeffersonville, down in Clark County, you need to talk to my man Miguel, because he knows what's the haps down there. He is also one of our deputy chairs for our state party. He is as dope as you get. He's as real as you get. He don't sugarcoat nothing. We powwow on a regular basis just to make sure that we are both in line on what we are supposed to be doing in this thing, because as black folk, we often know that we can get in trouble sometimes.
Yes. True story.
We can get in trouble sometimes by not doing things exactly the way that other people think that we should do them, but we stand by our convictions, right? But y'all, give it up for my man who's running for a council seat in Jeffersonville,
yes.
At large,
yes.
Down there making it happen, deputy chair for our state party, putting in the work, Miguel Hampton, what's up?
What it do?
It's you, my brother.
It's a pleasure. It's you. I'm giddy just being here.
Thank you for driving up, my man. We have done a couple of Power to Black votes down in Southern Indiana. We're going to do some more because it's about educating our people about how powerful we are. Yes. Now, this young brother is brand new to the scene. I just met him this year. Oh, yeah. But he said he was running. He's from Columbus. Okay. He's from Columbus, running in District 1. Columbus got black folk, too. A few of us out there. I met it. I think the first time I met you was at one of their social hour events, and then I saw you again when Eric Swalwell was in town.
Yep, absolutely.
So y'all, welcome to the show, Jerone Wood, who is running for city council in District 1 down in Columbus.
Yep, appreciate it.
I got an all brother crew happening. I don't usually do that. I got an all brother crew. That's just so y'all know. Even though I'm really mad at some of my men folk, I still love my brothers. I just need y'all to step up. Don't be letting orange people talk about sisters and telling them to go back. Duke Oliver, Councilman Duke Oliver, right here in the city of Indianapolis, is like, Dana, I want to do a rally. He's ready, but he's like 70-something, and I'm like, where my young folk at? Yeah. But before we go there, listen, I want people to fall in love with y'all. All right. I want people to help y'all on your campaign. I want y'all to get volunteers because y'all are running for a reason. So, Miguel, I'm going to come back. I want people to... my new man over here. Oh, yeah. Me. You got that stylish look going on. That's what's up. Jerome, tell people who you are, where you come from.
Okay. My name is Jerone Wood. From Columbus, Indiana. Originally born in Fresno, California.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Culture shock.
Big time. So I actually moved when I was 7 years old in December. Oh. So I went from snow...
Yeah, you went from sunshine.
I went from sunshine straight to snow. Shorts on and a t-shirt. So it wasn't too bad, but it was an adjustment period. But I enjoyed it. We've been there ever since. Went to Columbus East High School, graduated, went to Indiana State University.
Okay.
Stayed in Terre Haute. I knew I was never going back to Columbus. Once I left, it was something where I was never moving back.
Sure you weren't.
Nothing for me in Columbus.
Nothing there.
Stayed there for 4 years, and then they got me back. So I went back to Columbus. And I was in Columbus several years before I ever even thought about doing anything like this. Mm-hmm. I'm not really into politics. That's not my thing.
Okay.
It's more so it was approached to me as an opportunity. Said, hey, have you ever thought about it? And I told him no several times. Uh-huh. But then I had to sit down and really think about it. A few guys sat down with me and really said, you need to think about the opportunity that you do have.
Yeah.
You always sit around and tell people, the problems in Columbus, what you want to see different, what you want to be, change in the community, because we have a really bad drug problem, and I'm very passionate about that.
Okay.
So they said in order to to make some changes, you got to get involved. Everybody sits on their couch and tell everybody, man, I wish this was different, I wish that was different.
Yeah.
But to actually step up and get involved, it takes the courage to go out there. So I went ahead and threw my name out there, and I'm enjoying the process. It's different, it's new. But I'm up to the challenge, so I'm enjoying it.
Okay, so what is your profession? You went to ISU. What's your profession?
So I'm actually a leasing consultant at apartment complex.
Okay.
So I've been doing that for about a year and a half. I did sales for several years before that.
Okay.
I worked at Angie Sliss Home Advisor.
So you know how to work with customers, because you can't schmooze some customers. So you a politician.
Yeah. Didn't know it then, I guess.
You got it, because it's all about building relationships.
Absolutely.
Right. But so you said Columbus has a drug problem. Mm-hmm. Is it the opioid crisis? Is it the same crisis, or is it something else also related?
It's the opioid crisis.
Okay.
And to me, it was one of the things where I felt like Columbus was too small to have that big of an issue.
Wow.
So to me, something has to be done. It has to be an issue that's talked about every day. So if we're not doing that, then we're not doing them any justice.
That's what's up. And so so your family still, your mom, dad, everybody?
Yeah, my mom and dad still there. My mom and dad are ministers. So my dad actually has a church in North Vernon. So he and my mom pastor there. So that's kind of what the family's doing. My brother and sister are kind of gone. My sister's in Southport.
Okay.
My brother's in my head at the moment, but we keep them in our prayers.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Oh yeah.
Shut up, Dana.
Yeah.
You just got out the hospital. Count your blessings and hush. I got to read it in sometimes.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, I know that, I've known Miguel for a few years, and it was so nice to see your face when they told me you were running for office in Columbus, because, again, not a lot of diversity once you get past, south of 40, as my family calls it. What kind of support, or what kind of, when people were reaching out to, because I know the Hyatts, the Kate and Tell me what's been like in Bartholomew County when it comes to those Democrats down there.
See, I thought it was gonna be hard to get the support.
Really?
It's quite natural and black. So it was one of the things where I was like, we'll see how this goes. But they've been open armed. They help out more than what I thought they would. They offer me advice. They're probably calling me more than what I want them to. But it's cool because it's a new arena for me. So it's something I'm not too sure about. So when I'm sitting back relaxed, I'm like, no, you got to get up. You got to go knock on doors. I'm like, I got to knock on people's doors.
Yes.
So that was the biggest hurdle. Okay. But, you know, with doing that and with all the help they're giving me, you know, it's giving me extra confidence, so it works.
Well, at least you're following direction.
Yeah.
Right? Because some people, you tell them, baby, you got to go knock doors. They go, huh? Mm. And then you never see them knock on a door.
Facts.
You know, and like, you know, they want to give you excuses. Like, nah, you go to the neighborhoods that you want to represent and let people see you.
True.
You know, showing up at community events are cool, but do that one-on-one. Show them that you're not afraid to go wherever you need to go.
At the end of the day. So.
At the end of the day, that one-on-one interaction. So I'm glad that you're doing that. I'm glad.
I'm excited. So
good. All right, Miguel, MH. We was just together not long ago, just kicking it. Like, and then, oh, by the way, tell your wife I said, what's up?
What up, Tia? She listening. I'm sure she
look, wait a minute. Because here's the what y'all don't know is if Miguel wasn't running, I was going to try to figure out how the hell I was going to recruit the wifey.
And you know she's the poli-sci major.
I know, right? But I'm sorry. We going to get the babies a little
older. And they love her more than they
older.
love me. So that's an even more interesting thing. Like, sometimes when we come in together, they be like, that is his better half. Like, literally.
No, y'all lean on each other.
I'll be like, you're right.
And she's like 5'2", a dynamite. I'm telling you.
Yeah, she fire, man.
Tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Man, where I really come from? You
bring it.
Tell that
bring
story?
it.
All right, so I'm
Bring it.
I'm nomadic.
Okay.
All right, so before, like, real story, like, my wife and I calculated the other day, I went to 6 elementary schools.
Wow.
Before I got to middle school.
Wow.
Maybe 8.
Okay, 8.
6 or 8. It was crazy, right? So, I'm originally from Ohio. I was born in Fort Knox.
Okay.
Moved here from New Jersey.
Okay.
My wife is from here.
Okay.
And so we got pregnant, and she was like, "Hey, you know, it's
how you do that?
You know,
how you do that?
You want me to explain that one to you?
I'm a lesbian. I
don't know. Look, anatomically, no. So we got pregnant, but I was working. I was in fashion retail. I was working with my man who had an album that was coming out, and she was like, "I'm going home to see my mom." I said, "Cool, I'll see you when I get back." But and then when I got here, she was like, "We ain't leaving." And I was like, huh? That was 15 years ago.
Wow.
And I was like, what do you mean we ain't leaving? I can't do what I do in this market. And she was like, you'll figure it out. And so we reinvented the wheel.
5'2" of dynamite.
Yes. And we figured it out. We still figuring it out, though. We still playing with it. But that's where I'm originally from. So originally from Ohio, live in Jeffersonville now. So we live in District 1. I'm running for city council at large, which is fun. And brain drain right now, too, because I got, like, way too many irons in the fire.
That's how it goes.
That's
why I ended up on my back for 6 days.
Yeah, so we got to take it easy. We got to
rest,
and we got to run. We got to realize this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Say it again.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Thank you.
And we got to pace ourselves, right? And so we can't win and die in the same day.
Right.
And I say that not to crack jokes, because my homie down there won the city council at large seat, and then he died. Josh Rodriguez.
Wow.
And then he passed away shortly after that. And so I say that in a jokingly, non-jokingly manner.
Right.
We can't win and then die.
Right.
And so it was the same situation with a judge. I know a lot of friends. We have mutual friends, but a judge in Louisville. Okay. He won that race, and then
boom.
Shortly after, it was over. So.
Okay. So you know, I know that you've been actually a part of the party a little bit longer than me.
Really?
You were a deputy chair before me.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got to give it up to those that came before me.
Well, thank you, love.
So what made you want to actually go into the party aspect of politics before running for office?
Man, that's a long story, so I'm going to shorten it.
All right.
Real talk. So I've been involved I was the chair of the African American Business Alliance in Louisville. I sat on GLI's board, which is the Chamber of Commerce in Louisville, Kentucky. I sat on one of the SIVE's board, which was the Chamber of Commerce in Southern Indiana. I'm an advocate on a handful of other committees and boards, and what I realize is that where I'm fighting for inclusion, right? White folk know diversity. They don't understand inclusion.
Right.
You know, as my wife and I have a conversation, you know, the difference between, you know, equality and equitable, you know, situations. And so I'm constantly fighting, and what I realize is that there was a disparity study that Indiana put out. I think it was in 2010 to talk about the fact that there was an underutilization of Hispanic, Black, and brown businesses across the state, and it was strategic. There was an underutilization of workforce, Black and brown, across the state. And then I'm sitting at home, right? And I'm like, I'm a Black-owned business for 12 years, celebrating 12 years
awesome.
this week.
Right.
Awesome.
Congratulations,
And I'm
my
like,
brother.
where's the rest of me?
Right.
Where's the Black women who can own businesses, right? And then I'm looking at, contractually, what we're doing cross-state. Where's the Hispanic and Latino businesses?
Right.
I'm realizing, like, there's no changing this, arguing on the outside of the spectrum.
True.
Right? So I got to tap in. And so, a couple folks asked me, Josh, and a couple other folks asked me in 2016, would you be interested in running? And so I was like, nah, I've managed campaigns, and I've done a U.S. Senate campaign and a handful of other campaigns on both sides of the river. And then I finally said, you know what? Let's do a damn thing. If you're going to change it, you got to change it by policy.
Right.
The only way to change policy is to be at the table.
Come on.
Right? And then one of the senators down there told me, he said, Miguel, if you're not at the table, you part of the menu.
Right.
And I'm like, Black folks across this state, across this country, we getting eaten.
Yeah.
Like
right?
alive.
Every day. And we've been getting eaten since the birth of this nation.
True.
So I'm like, look, we got to change the game. So I didn't win that, but that was to be expected because they ain't never had nobody Black or brown in our county as an elected official. And so that was a stepping stone in the next direction. And so my man and I, Josh, had kind of a plan. And then when the city council piece came up, someone said, hey, would you be interested? And at first I was like, not really sure. Then again, realizing, looking at the growth of our town, looking at the growth of the city, looking at our city council people who are currently there, looking at who our mayor is, and really calculating all the things that I have heard in city council meetings or in board meetings or in these sidebar financial meetings, and realizing that Black folks, Black and brown folks, are being left out of the process.
Right.
We want to scream, ooh, look, it's diversity. We want diversity in the picture, but not in the policy.
True.
That's what's
Right?
up.
And then we don't want to include people. We want to say, hey, yes, we made an opportunity for everybody to buy a house, but we're not going to make opportunity for everybody to get lending.
Right.
We want everybody to start a business, but we're not going to make sure everybody get work.
True.
Right.
And so the only way to change that is to change the policy and the culture. Right, so we got to be involved. I know that's the short version.
That's and I love it because that's when we do our Power of the Black Vote conversations, and I'm trying to get in every urban, and I'm not just, obviously I would love to do them in rural communities, but we're not there. I want to go where we are, where there's at least 3% of our population, 3% of the population is African Americans. I want to talk about the power of the Black vote. And those are the exact things that we talk about. We target 5 different areas. Advocacy, we talk about, fundraising, we talk about running for office, being behind the scenes, because it's all about policy making. We can't make any changes if we don't understand how the game is played. The game is played by what's written down.
Yes.
And what's written down in the books is determined by those 100 people, 100 reps in the State House and the 50 in the Senate. And if we think that it's coming from the Fed level, trust no believe the State House is a blocker for the Feds. And if you think you really can do it at your municipal level, they can control all of that too.
Yeah. Let me tell you what's a driving point, and part of me
Come on,
might
bring
regret
it.
saying this, right? So, some years back, when Galligan, Moore, Gay, a bunch of people were running for mayor, and the NAACP had a mayoral conference debate, and my father-in-law and I were sitting on the panel asking the questions, and I remember the question that was asked. When we asked all the mayoral candidates, what are you going to do to make sure that you are building an inclusive community and you're including the Black population as part of this growth, etc. Right? So I'm paraphrasing a little bit. And I remember one specific one, and this is our current mayor who said it, who wasn't mayor at the time. He said, I haven't thought that far along because I have a campaign to win.
What?
So it dawned. It was a light bulb in my head and said, you have not thought about the Black or brown community.
And you want their vote.
And he won. And let me tell you, there's not been much growth in those sectors.
And is this a Democrat?
No, he's a Republican. He's a Republican.
Because I don't mind calling out Democrats and growth too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So that has been
Y'all know me.
That's been a poker in the back of my head, right? So yeah, and they're, I call them their cronies. Our other city council people, some of them fall right in the soup. And that's another thing. Like, if we don't have diversity And I'm not just talking black, brown. I mean diversity in the way we think. And sitting in our government, then policy never changes.
Exactly.
Right.
And so, Jerome, that's something I wanted to bring to you. I know that you talked about, the drug crisis is one of the things that you are really focused in on, you're very passionate about. And I tell every candidate, especially first-time candidates, can't be a single issue, and I'm certain that you are not.
Oh, yeah.
So talk about some of the things that you want to accomplish once you win your seat, because you're going to win.
Oh, yeah.
It's a wrap, because we're going to get you some donations today. We're going to get you some volunteers to knock some doors for you.
Absolutely.
But talk about
So
some of the things.
outside of the drug program, of course, that was my main hurdle. That was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to accomplish. Another thing is our youth development. Columbus is real big on keeping talent. Anytime I go to any meetings, they always preach on we want to keep talent in Columbus.
Yes.
To me, it's hard to keep talent in Columbus when you have nothing for that talent to occupy themselves with. Even throughout middle school, high school is one of the things where everybody was like, man, there's nothing to do in Columbus. So when I go to college, I'm not moving back.
I'm not coming back.
Columbus is a rich town. I don't know if you've been there.
Yes.
Been there. Columbus
home of Cummins? Are you kidding me?
Columbus is a rich town. So to me, it's what are we doing with those funds? It's one of the things where are those questions being asked? So I think that's one big thing also I want to touch on as a youth. And then through my sister working in one of the homeless shelters in Columbus, I found out that there's actually a lot of homeless people. There are a lot of homeless people in Columbus, which blew my mind. Because I was one of the things where I was like, man, Columbus is small. I see people here and there, but I don't really see a lot of homeless people until you really drive around. And people will tell you, if you drive on this side of the neighborhood or this side of town, you'll see it. And then when you drive to see it, and it's not just people that are, without jobs. It's people with full-time jobs that are living in homeless shelters.
Because is there affordable housing shortage?
Oh, big time. And I know you had Grace here.
Yeah, I love
and
Grace.
And one thing I love about Grace is she's so passionate about fair housing.
Yes, she is.
One of the first things I met her, she was like, "Oh, fair housing. That's my main objective."
Right.
And I work in an apartment complex, so it's one of the things where I see the people that come through my doors, the people that are qualified. I can tell right when they come through the doors. I can tell, and it hurts my heart because I see them. They're like, "Man, I'm looking for an apartment. I need one bad." I already know. You're not gonna be able to afford living here. I couldn't afford living here, and I work here.
Wow.
Yeah, facts. So it's
there's something wrong with the fact that you can't afford to live where you work.
Absolutely.
And you're an apartment manager. That just doesn't even make sense to me. But go ahead.
So with that, with the opiate crisis, the youth, and the homelessness, those are my three main objectives.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of other things people concentrate on, whether it's tax abatements, things of that nature. I feel like to an extent we're focusing on the wrong things to advance Columbus where it needs to be.
Okay.
When you have those type of problems, some people won't want to live in a town that has that many issues. Also, people don't want to live in Columbus when they can't afford housing.
Exactly.
And there's people that working at Cummins that will live in Greenwood and Indianapolis and commute because they don't want to pay the prices they have to live in there. And it's weird because why would you want to drive an hour?
I didn't. I was offered a gig in Cummins because I'm an IT chick by by trade, and I was like, I'm not driving to Columbus every day.
Yeah. So.
But I wouldn't want to live in Columbus because I come from Indianapolis and too small. I'd be in trouble in 2 weeks.
So I'm also on the. It's not one of my main objectives, but I'm also on the board with Grace on that fair housing, just because it's one of the things where I know. Once again, you preach on keeping talent in Columbus, keeping your youth here.
Okay.
How are you going to do that? How are you going to accomplish
And that seems to be like a statewide issue because when it comes to a brain drain in Indiana, we have one. Like we have some of the best colleges, and y'all know colleges, universities in our state, Notre Dame, IU, Purdue, Rose-Hulman, all of them. But people don't want to stay here because the quality of life is 48th in the nation. And so unfortunately, it's not just Columbus, but I'm glad that you have recognized, even though Columbus is a wealthy city, there are quality of life issues that we need to address to keep that talent. Another thing that I'm really excited about is that you talked about our development of our youth. Black men, I'm finna come at y'all real hard real quick because...
Let's go.
Let's do this because, see, the bottom... A number one... From here on out, every day for the rest of y'all's life, y'all are role models.
Absolutely.
Y'all are black men doing positive things and doing what they say can't be done. Okay? I struggle sometimes trying to get more of our young brothers to get involved. I'm not a black man, so I can't tap into the mind of a black man. So tell me... And tell our audience what we need diversity and inclusion in our political system. But how do I get young black men involved in this thing called politics?
Come on, hit it.
I think they need to see value. So here's the thing. Most of us don't have any ownership in anything we can't own. And I know in Southern Indiana, you can't find a whole lot of black people like me of any age involved. And so when you have organizations, associations, living areas who are not inclusive of the people who exist there, why would they ever get involved, right? And so I think that's the first deterrent. And I think those things are done intentionally. You know, if you don't want black people involved, then, you know, make sure that they don't have any ownership in the game. Make sure that they don't they don't have the same opportunities that you would for other folk. Okay. And so a lot of young black folk don't see any ownership in it. I think the other part of civics has been moved out of the school system.
Come on.
Right? And so, and it's not a constant conversation in our homes. And I think in order to get young black folks back involved in that, then we have to have that conversation on an ongoing basis. We have to find a way to meet them where they are. And so
that's real talk right there.
That's huge.
I think that's the start. And then we got to have a party that they believe in who wants them there. And that's important. That's super important.
And I'm going to just jump in real quick. That seems to be the biggest struggle, is a party that appears to be welcoming, because you have different levels of the party. So what's happening at the county level isn't necessarily the same thing that's happening at the state level. And what's happening at the state level is not happening at the federal level. And one of the things that I've always loved is the state level, because you get to see things that are successful and things that are not successful. And so what usually happens is someone, when they call me, they go, Dana, I tried to reach out to my county party and I got nothing. I got crickets. You know, and now here I am at the state level saying, get involved, do your thing, join the party, we're here for you, we got work. But if they're reaching out to their county party and they're getting the crickets, it's like, Dana, what are you saying to me? Tell me what you see as a way for us to stay.
So you touched on one thing when you said you got to reach them on their turf.
Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to any young person, because I'm still young, I'm only 30, you got to come.
You better claim it, baby.
No, I'm still young. I'm still young.
You better claim it.
No grades. I'm still young. So
that grade hot though, man.
I'm trying to hide it.
Wait a minute.
I ain't got this.
Wait a minute. I cut the locks off so the grade would. Wait a minute. I cut the locks off so the grade would pop, baby. That's because my skin chocolate. You know, it's going. You know what I'm saying? It's chocolate.
That's that storm.
Man, this ain't very quiet. It's a noisy storm.
Right there.
Man, look.
But no, it's meeting them on their level. And one thing I've my first event I went to. They asked me a question, and I forget what the question was, but everything I said had to go around educating. I feel like when it comes to a lot of young black men, and I hold myself into that category, because prior to me putting my name in for this office, I wasn't educated on what's going on in Columbus or how important your vote really is. So when I go around to the young brothers in town, and we have a lot more, even though I joke and say there's a few of us, there's a lot more than what people may see in Columbus.
Right.
I see a new black person every day. Literally, at a stoplight, and I'm like, and I appreciate it, and we appreciate each other for a second before the light turns green. But it's one of the things where you have to educate them to make them understand why it's important for them to vote. Okay. So that's one of the things that I think I've done pretty well. Fortunate in my district, there's a lot of young black dudes in my district. Okay. So getting one-on-one conversations with them to really understand, for them to understand why you should vote, why your vote matters, and really it's just, to me, it's that the big key is educating them. Okay. If we can educate them and make them understand the process, why it's important to vote, I think that's one of the
looks like I need to be getting with your county chair so I can get a power to black vote in Columbus and Bartholomew County.
Because when you mention vote, they kind of look at you like it's a foreign language, like, bro, I'm not voting.
Well, I think the other challenge to that, or opportunity, is that, you know, for years parties have screamed, get out and vote, get out and vote. But we get out and we vote, and the policy doesn't change to our benefit.
True.
So even beyond voting, I think the conversation is way too based on how do we get them to vote. The key is how do we get us involved, and how do we stay involved. You know, there are people who are going to have a role. Yeah, they're going to roll. Their role is to run for office or seek those office seats. Then there's other people who have the role of making sure that those who get elected are accountable for the execution of what's their goals, what their dreams are.
Right.
And I think that's the power in voting is understanding that you have ownership and you can then dictate what happens in your area, right? People who vote typically have that kind of power. Yeah. They don't have a problem walking out in the public and say, you didn't fix the drain like you said you were going to. Right? Or you closed our inner city school in Claysburg and then moved it downtown next to the jail. See, I'm a voter. I don't have a problem saying that you don't understand that there is a pipeline from education to jail and you took the 2 inner city schools and stuck it next to a jail. See, I can paint that picture because I'm a voter and I understand the dynamic of what's going to happen if they don't fix it.
That's true.
Yeah, man.
But when young people don't get that, bruh, like that's a challenge, you know. But we got to sit down and have that conversation with them because one day, and here's I think some of the things I've talked to a couple young folks between, 17, 21, 25. Some of us live a life. Yeah. Where 30 ain't on the radar.
Yeah. Right.
And so sometimes we have to instill longevity in some of our folks who don't see 5 years down the road.
Exactly.
So that's the challenge in Columbus because we don't have that issue. And that, I guess that's not a problem, but most when you're in Columbus, you're going to see that. For the most part. Okay. You don't have to have that on your shoulders. Like, man, I don't know if I'm going to reach that age. Because in Columbus,
it's a different lifestyle.
It's a different lifestyle. Yeah. But, you touched on it. You touched on it perfect. But I think what we're doing as far as running and getting in those seats, like my dad always tells me, he's like, you don't understand how important it is for you to do what you're doing. Whether you win or lose, which you're going to win. We're very confident in that. He's like, by you winning and getting in that seat, he's the people that you may not even realize are watching you to see that. Like, well, man, what he's doing is cool. And I've had guys. Never know who's watching. I've had several conversations with guys that I would never know. Even it's like, man, I see you running, bro. I think that's cool, man. Like, we need to sit and talk. And it catch me off. I'm kind of like.
Okay. I am learning every day that there are people who see me that I don't know see me. Right? Forget about the how many followers or whatever you have on the book. They see what you're doing in these streets, and so literally they're like, oh, Dana. And if I'm out here not doing and being true to the words that I say, it's gonna come back. And so I ain't nobody perfect, so when I had to learn not to drop that F-bomb.
No, those are our fun words.
Those are the fun words, yes. But like when I work at the city county building, and the city county building is where people come for their probation, and I see these, and just like y'all, I see young studs, young lesbians, who are running around with these ankle bracelets on, and people want to know why I wear my ties and my cufflinks, because I'm trying to show these sisters, you can still be your masculine self, but you don't have to assume the thug role. There's this GQ role you can work on and get your education and be a pretty boy. Let's be a pretty boy instead of a thug boy. I think, all of that's what you into. But there's other ways, and there's longevity in doing things the slow, tedious, hard way versus thinking you can get it fast, get it tomorrow. Yeah. So
that's huge.
I'm loving this conversation because again, it's very seldom I get a chance to have two brothers who are both from different areas of town, both running for office, and you both have different issues in your town. Miguel, talk about why you are running this time as at large and what issues in Jeffersonville that you want to address when you win.
So this time at large, well, to be honest, Dustin White is in District 1. I live in District 1. And I wasn't going to run against Dustin.
Okay, that's what's up. Right? I appreciate that.
So that wasn't going to happen.
Okay.
And then when I looked at the at-large position, and to be honest, I was at a city council meeting a couple years ago, and our current president of the city council, who was also at-large, when asked a couple of questions as it relates to some economic things that were happening in the community, some things that were happening on a couple of the boards that he sits on, and he said at the city council meeting, I don't know. And I said, pump the brakes, bro. You're the president of the city council. You sit on the other two boards. You're supposed to be able to have this information. What do you mean you don't know? Not even smart enough to say, let me check my notes and I'll give it back to you.
He said smart enough, but
he said, I don't know. So when you have a child playing grown man games, he shouldn't be there no more. Ooh. And so that was one of the reasons I decided to run.
A child playing grown man games. If y'all didn't hear that,
He started with his
he dropping haymakers. Again, y'all need to get to know my man Miguel Hampton. Y'all thought I was playing, didn't you? He said, when you got a child playing grown man games, come on, bro, bring it to me.
So that was one of the reasons.
One of the reasons.
And then,
Children in office.
Yes,
Okay.
True story. So then I started looking at large as a whole, and I have friends who live all over the city, and so different folks will call about drainage issues, or we'll have conversations about, you know, what's being built on this side and who's thinking about doing this and why they're planning that. And so I realized that, you know, at large means I'm responsible, or one of three people who are responsible seeing the overall goals and execution of the city inclusively.
Right.
And I think that's not happening. Right?
Okay.
Decisions are being made. There may be personal and internal goals, but there's nothing that I see that is inclusive and has an overarching plan that for development of the city.
Okay.
And I said, you know, there needs to be a voice there, even if in some cases it's a voice of opposition, so that we get it right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So we can't put speed bumps in one neighborhood and then tell the next neighborhood they're not allowed to have any. You know, stuff. Yeah, just simple things
without good reason. I mean, you got to give me some zoning reasons, some
they just
children reasons.
I was campaigning, and we
blind kid reasons. Tell me something.
Yeah, we were in district. I think I was in District 6. I won't say what neighborhood it was. And you know, I was asking neighbors, what are some issues that y'all have? And they said people speed through here. Our city council member lives here. You know, we have police that live around here. And I said, well, why don't y'all get speed bumps? We have them throughout the community. I'm just curious. And you know, they were like, they keep telling us no, that we're not allowed to have them. And I said, wow, that's interesting. So now I'm curious, and I haven't gotten to an answer yet.
Right.
But I want to know, for me, why is it that this community, which is a fairly prominent and wealthy community, can't get speed bumps? But I know throughout the rest of the city, there are other areas that have the same problem where they have some degree of speed bump. And so I told the guy, get back to him. But I'm like, your city council member lives down the street. That's a problem. Now, he happened to be running at large, too.
Okay.
Right.
Is that another child?
Nah, he's a grown man. But
okay, all right. Hey,
I got a little bit more respect for him.
Okay, because I mean, if I need to move down to Jeffersonville to get a seat, you know what I'm saying?
So it's at large, right? And then I live in the downtown area.
That's what's up.
And you know, there are things that I think that have been done well.
Okay.
I think we have executed past agendas, and we've seen them to fruition. I'm not really a fan of people who take credit for other people's jobs. You know, not to speak on anybody who's in office that's currently doing that.
But you know who you are.
But you know,
MH baby, Miguel Hampton, deputy chair.
You know, one of our communities is Claysburg, which is the predominantly African American. You know, it's also an impoverished community, kind of a lower middle
economically
class,
challenged.
community.
That's how I like to say it.
And they've asked for things that happen outside of the community, and sometimes you're not really seeing that kind of push from the city, or they're not taking on that initiative. But someone who is at large, right, can help Dustin White, who's in District 1, fight that fight.
True.
That's what's up.
You know,
that's
and we need that. And again, just bringing us to an inclusive, equitable city where opportunities are there and everybody has access to the opportunity. You know, not the glass door where you can see the opportunity, but there's no door handle, there's no lock.
Right.
And the guy sitting on the throne is laughing, saying he, not you.
Yeah.
Right. Because that happens.
And we got to change that. And so, you know, that's why. Now, things I would like to see change, right? We're a growing city. And so for me, I'm always going to take an economic position on the river. There's a lot of advancement. There's a lot of investment that's happening. You know, we don't have a procurement program.
For the city?
For the city.
How y'all buy stuff?
They just buy stuff. They just spend where they want to spend and how they want to spend it. Mm-hmm. Right? You know, you go to a major metropolitan city, they may even have a procurement office, right, with some bylaws and some rules of engagement.
Yes, absolutely.
You know? Yeah,
But I can't even buy a pencil.
Our city, you know, our city sometimes gives away money to their girlfriends, brothers' companies without really putting out bids. I'm not throwing that out there. But the reality of it is that when
y'all need to elect my man Miguel.
It's tax dollars, right? And you're not even diversifying
that's your
the tax
money.
dollar, right? And so when we're talking about, we're not seeing small business growth. And let me when I talk small business, I'm not talking small business by SBA standards where you're 100 employees and you got, you know, you're making, you know, $5 million or whatever. I'm talking about the small business, the mom and pops that are doing between 150, $500,000, $2 million, $3 million, who really keep our livelihood in our small towns, really most of our towns.
Right.
You know, but they have an opportunity to grow if our communities have entrepreneurial mindsets to help them build, right? But a lot of times our small businesses are ignored.
Well, you know, Indiana is ranked at the bottom of you know, this is another one of them statistical categories that we suck at, and ranked at the bottom for small businesses, the entire state. Whereas, you know, Republicans tout this, we're great for business, you're great for big business.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for small businesses, they struggle. They usually fail within 5 years.
But that's, you know, but again, and we could change that if our corporations, and this is statewide, if our municipalities put our corporations to test and said, we want you to have spending goals with the small businesses in your community, both diverse and non-diverse, right? We could change that dynamic. But we have to have leaders who are willing to take that push.
Right,
you know?
Well, but they scared, man. That's why.
Then why you in that office? We got to quit voting for scared people.
Well, you and I had this conversation before we went on air.
Yes.
You know, it's not that I don't love. I love brothers. I think brothers are amazing. Because without a brother, I wouldn't be here, right? Because it does take two to tango. I ain't crazy. I know how it works. But what I'm having a problem with are weak men. Okay, I'm having a problem with weak men who can't stand up and do what's right for the community at large. Right? As black women, we, you know, the Angela Davises, the Harriet Tubmans, the Sojourner Truths, we've been on the front line of the fight for a long time. And don't get me wrong, brothers have been there. Stokely Carmichael, MLK, all brothers have been there. Since the suffrage movement and the 19th Amendment and maybe the labor movement, some of my not so brown and black brothers have been a little silent outside of the unions, because the unions will fight for you, right? The unions will fight. They've been silent on what's right for humans, other humans. And they've been padding their pockets in such a way that, it causes extensive harm to communities all over our state. Rural Indiana, which is vastly white, is suffering at the same clip as some of our urban areas. We don't want to talk about it because because sometimes we want to measure suffering. We want to say everybody, we want to put oppression on a scale and say, I'm more oppressed than you are. No, we all right now, we all getting jacked over by our state house. But women only make up 22% of our elected officials. So, and we already know there's only, 12, 13 people of color?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just saying, I'm sick of these weak men not willing to stand up for our state. We have 92 counties of communities that need real help, real commitment to infrastructure, education, healthcare. Jerome, how do we get these men folk to stand up and be the protectors of our community? Because I thought they were supposed to take care of women and children first. But you see, we throw them in cages real fast.
So hold on. Can I
go ahead.
You said we... Oh, man, I'm going to get in trouble.
No, we good. Yeah, we good.
Y'all be cutting up.
Hey, I should have warned you. But I figured this would be this would be a good way to break in.
I love women, right? Yeah. I was raised by a single mom, came out of an abusive household. You know what I mean? And here's the thing, right? This idea that men, and I'm picking on men in general, not color, but I'm gonna pick on a certain color of men. But men in general, this idea that they're supposed to be women's caretakers.
I don't believe that.
Right? I don't believe that either. And I don't believe it because they've shown proof that they're not. Right? So we understand that men in America are probably predominantly have been white men, but there's been other men involved in that too.
Come on.
One of the largest traffickers of women in this country.
Come on.
They make money off of it. Right? So how they gonna take care of you when they see you as a financial value and sometimes a tool for feeling, and it's their feeling, right? So we
Miguel Hampton.
I'm just saying that's been an ongoing issue, right? I look at Southern Indiana, and I can't remember the stat, but it's appalling. in terms of how many young girls will be molested or raped before they get out of middle school. I think it was like 1 in 3 or something ridiculous. And I was thinking, where the hell are the fathers? And where are the women who will punch that man in the throat?
Well,
So I think you're right. We need to have men who will stand up and whoop the bully's ass.
and that's what I'm trying to figure out.
You're
What happened?
right.
The bully is winning right now, and I just don't get it.
I think
it's follow the leader.
Go ahead.
I think it's my thing is my example was my father. My father was a strong man, a bold man, and courageous man.
Is a strong
So therefore,
man.
I'm exactly the same way. So I feel like just like I said earlier, what we're doing now by being in these seats, you have men to show how to lead, how to be that example. Without that, they have nobody to look up to. Because right now they're looking at, just like you said, they want everything fast. So therefore, what they're looking at is the people that are getting it fast, the rappers, NBA players. That's not a realistic lifestyle. So when these guys are getting these tattoos from the neck down to the hands, and I got a lot of friends that do that, and I'm like,
and I'm tatted.
And I'm all the way down, but it's one of the things where
if I put on a suit,
you don't know.
You ain't gonna.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like, who are you modeling your life after?
Exactly.
So that's why I think it's huge for black men, strong men, to run in these political offices, or run in offices, or run in just in general, to be that example for them to see.
Yeah. Well, I just want y'all to know, and y'all are two fine examples of strong, positive men. I'm not waiting on men. I done already told my sisters we taking this over.
Let's go.
We taking it over. I told them we're not waiting on anybody to save us anymore. It's not happening. We gonna step up because I'm gonna be like my girl Harriet. You know, I'm be like, look, you ain't no turning back. I got a right to carry one. Click, click. We not turning back. Nah. We going forward, and I'm gonna harness. I mean, even though right now it's gonna be tough up in District 5, I'm loving that there are 3 powerful women, 2 of which are women of color, that are running for Congress, the seat that Susan Brooks vacated. I know someone else down in District 8, and I ain't gonna say who it is just yet, but another woman that's wanting to run for Congress. Women, we can't wait on men, because it's obvious that the Mitch McConnells of the world will leave you high and dry. The Paul Ryans of the world will leave you high and dry. You know, the Lindsey Grahams of the world, he may be down with you 2 years ago, but 2 years later, after his boyfriend died, he gonna turn on you. He's gonna turn on you. Yeah. I mean, not that I know that him and John McCain had an intimate relationship. I shouldn't say those things. That's not right. But you know, his dude died because he was different.
That's all you got. Prove it different.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, you was saying that Trump is the most horrible person on the planet. McCain died. Oh no, he's amazing. He's great. Really? Is that what happened? So that's what's up. So there was one other thing I wanted to get at before I forget, because the old lady and
well, hold on. So to help the fight, right?
Right. The fight.
So
the fight.
I'm gonna ask, right? So for brothers who got daughters, you know, train your daughters.
Right.
Teach your daughters what a man should treat them, teach them, etc. You know, for brothers who got men, you know, young men that are raising them, you know, that's something that you got to do. You got to educate them every day. Women, educate your young men too, because that's super important. You know, my mom, you know, our relationship is super dynamic, but in many ways, because I didn't have a positive male role model, so to speak. You know, I had a mother who could teach me everything that a man shouldn't be.
Okay.
And so when I started looking at what I wanted to be, I could find the model.
Right.
Because I could say, mama said something like you don't work.
Right.
But mama said something like you do. So then I got to instill that in me.
Right.
And then instill them, and then being around other positive role models.
Right.
You know, whether they're women or men, black, white, green, yellow, or otherwise, you know, will help develop the character of folks. You know, and sometimes we have to teach people how to fight.
Yes.
And some of our brothers don't know how to fight that kind of fight.
And we're not talking physical fights.
No.
We're not talking. We're talking about that mental, you know, war game. Because the stronger your brain is, the stronger your ability to adapt to the situation without using your physicality is much more powerful, much more influential. Because don't nobody really care about the brute.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody cares about the gladiator. When your body is all broken up.
In the real world, at least.
Right.
Think about Second Amendment.
Come on.
Right. So Second Amendment, when you think about the Black Panthers, the Second Amendment was their mantra. NRA did not support the Second Amendment as it relates to the Black Panthers.
Absolutely.
But that was the very tool that they used to crush them. And
Absolutely.
then after they crushed them, they adopted it, and it is now the national mantra.
Well, there were there were a lot of things that they did to crush. And here's the deal. That's because we allow other people to. Oh, this is a nice segue for where I want to go next. We allow other people to dictate our narrative as people of color, Black people, Hispanic people, Asian people. So, in Indianapolis, we got a mayoral races going on, and it's pretty heavy. Now, mind you, whoever controls Indianapolis, pretty much controls the state. We definitely don't want the Republican, because it's Jim Merritt, who's been in office as a senator for 30 years, and he's been the author of some of the most terrible legislation that has harmed our state, from environment to LGBTQ plus rights to voting rights, all of that. Now he wants to be the good mayor of a diverse city. But one of the things that has been coming out of this conversation is that Black folk have been asking these two white guys, and I like Joe Hogsett. I think Mayor Joe Hogsett is fine. Everybody can improve, right? He's not perfect. Everybody can improve. But as Black folks, we are looking to these two white men to create a Black agenda. I actually have a problem with that. I remember early in the year, Pastor Green and I, who is the president of Concerned Clergy, because I was excited that Concerned Clergy and the LGBTQ plus people, the president of Concerned Clergy, president of Stonewall, were going to get together and work, because Black folks and gay folks sometimes don't always see eye to eye. But Pastor Green and I were able to sit down across the table from each other and talk about what's important to our community as it relates, because you can't have a Black agenda if you ain't talking about people of faith, and you can't have a Black agenda if you ain't talking about people in the LGBTQ plus community. But it bothers me that there are people running around our city looking for two white dudes to create a Black agenda when we haven't actually articulated ourselves what a Black agenda should look like. Give me your thoughts on, who should actually work to put that together, and how maybe it should be presented, and then maybe some pieces that should be in it.
All right.
You want to tackle it first?
It don't matter.
So I think we have IDAC, which
Okay.
is the Indiana Democratic African American Caucus. Definitely should have a role in developing an African American agenda, definitely politically. We have the Legislative Black Caucus, who absolutely should have a role both politically, economically, and socially in drafting that agenda. We have Black business owners across the state. We have Black clergy, if they want to be involved across the state. So I think African Americans, people of color, should be leading, writing the agenda for what we want in this community. We shouldn't be allowing anybody to tell us what they think we should have. That has been the history of this country, and I know nobody wants to talk about slavery, but since slavery. So
they don't, do they? They will. Mayflower, 1964 Civil Rights Act.
right. Because they're gonna have to give some money to somebody. That's right. But that's another story.
Reparations.
Right, economics. Right. So, so I think that that should be, we have organizations and we have people who live here who ought to be taking the lead and should be part of those councils, those boards, etc. Things that I think that might want to be in there is we definitely should have an economic strategy. In terms of how we develop the state across the board, both rural as well as city, inner city. We ought to have an economic strategy in there and talks about, the utilization of our workforce or lack thereof, how we develop entrepreneurially. So on the economic side, those things need to be in there. We need to definitely talk about safety. I'm a gun owner. I carry a gun, right? And, shout out to, was it NAGA down in Atlanta, right? So, National Association for African American Gun Owners.
Oh, okay. That's what's up. I'm like, what is that?
So, I think there ought to be an agenda in there, because how our relationship to the police departments, enforcement, and how we live, that there needs to be a communication piece there. I don't think you can change that by a cultural training, but that's a different story for another day. I think that we should have programs in there that speaks specifically to our education. And the reason I say that is because some of our institutions teach white supremacy inside their manuals. Our professors teach it, even if they don't understand what they're teaching.
Right.
Like when you can put the CEO term is now used because slave master is no longer relevant. That's in the education of some of our colleges and our business classes, right? Right. I went on an interview to teach at one of these schools. I'm sorry, and they gave me the agenda, and I read the agenda, and I said, "You want me to say what?"
Wow.
But so I think we really
learn something on Turn Left.
Yeah. When we're giving middle school and our elementary school kids and our high school kids books to read, right? They're not reading about the great inventions of America. They're reading the great inventions of white America.
Come on.
Right? When reality is that there were a lot of brown and black people who built much of the infrastructure as well as the wealth of this country. But we're not telling that narrative, right? We're putting the narrative in the hands of like Carnegie and Ford and Chrysler. We're not educating them on Charles Drew or Madam C.J. Walker, right, who owned a factory in Indiana, right?
T. Garrett Benjamin. Come on. I mean, that's the pastor. I'm sorry.
But we got
the light switch man. You know what I'm saying?
Garrett. And we got present people, Garrett. Yeah, I mean, so I think that part has
Can't
to
remember
be there.
everything.
Nah, not at all. Just pieces, and it just comes, right? We got to talk about, like, here's another education piece I think it needs to be in there, because if we understand the past, we can build the future. The fact that a lot of folks talk about there has not always been black wealth in the country, right? And the truth is that we have had black cities and black wealth across this country since the conception of this country.
Absolutely.
What we've also had is the intentional destruction
of that black
wealth.
wealth.
The one we talk about the most is Oklahoma, because that's where the United States bombed a black community and killed a bunch of people. But we don't talk about Rosewood or the 2 towns that were in Kentucky, the couple of towns that existed in Indiana that were thriving black communities that were strategically removed and taken out.
Absolutely.
So we have to have policies in there that address our future and where we want to go and how we get there. And there's probably a lot more. But I think we have to have folks. In our diversity, we have to be diverse, and we have to develop policies and then take it to and not ask.
Come on.
They have to be demanding.
And that was one of the things that Pastor Green and I had talked about was, and I'm throwing his name out there because I want people to understand that I know that I can't stay in my gay bubble. I have to embrace an entire community. So if I reached out to him, to say, hey, how can we work together? But there's also, I think one of the things we didn't talk about was just the everyday working black person. The woman that is the CNA at the hospital, or the man that is a skilled trades working on a construction site. There are just some regular everyday blue collar people whose issues are going to be very different than the black business owner or the black politician. And sometimes we get caught up, I think, as black folk, in our own class distinction.
Yes.
We don't want to look at sometimes we get caught up in the brother with the tattoos who, we don't, hey, bro, what you doing? Where's your life going? But he may already have these grand goals and schemes that it didn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we get caught up in class distinction, and we not finna fool with them because she got orange hair or she got purple hair. So I think that there's an opportunity also for us to embrace communities that have been the most silent among black folks.
Yes.
That was one of the things that I struggled with when I decided to run for office myself, was like, I'm not an elite black person. My mama never made more than $7 an hour, and my daddy was a union guy, but together they made it work. But I wasn't in those elite spaces where the Jack and Jills and the debutantes and frat brothers and all sorority. I wasn't in that space. But if you don't include those regular everyday working people, you're still not getting a full picture of what black life is like. Because we are not a monolith. Bruh, chime in on this one.
So Columbus, and that's why I was excited to come here, because this, like I said, this is something new. So more so than anything, you both have educated me a lot today. So I appreciate it. I'm definitely going to connect with you after this, because I got to pick your brain.
It was on purpose.
but for me,
there's a method to my crazy madness.
But for me, with Columbus, it's a whole different culture, whole different atmosphere. So when it comes to the black people in Columbus, I feel like when I was brought up in the schools, you didn't learn about your culture a lot.
No.
So it was one of the things where I was up until probably high school, even through high school, I was the only black kid in class. So the first African American studies class, the class I remember, was in college. So for these kids now, there's way more black.
Well, and Senator Taylor passed his legislation to include cultural education in the curriculum. So we're going to get better. Because congratulations, Senator Taylor.
Yeah.
So in Columbus, it's one of the things where something needs to be done for these kids to make them take pride. I feel like take pride in being black and understand what that means and what comes with that. Yeah. As far as educating the community, I feel like when it comes, we have like I think 2 black-owned businesses right now in Columbus. We have a restaurant, and then I know there's a barbershop that's black-owned. For a fact. Okay. I could be wrong on that, but those are the 2 I know for a fact. But it's one of the things where I don't think Columbus, as far as the black people in Columbus, may not be educated in that field. So to have somebody come down, and whether it's teach a course or to show them how to do it, how it's done.
Me and Miguel will be there.
Absolutely.
And then teach them not to be afraid to step out. So I feel like a lot of black people sit back.
What was I saying in New Albany?
And they look at it. They look at the picture, because I wasn't afraid to do it. It was one of the things where I didn't know how to take that step. So like when I said I sat at home a lot and talked about the drug problem, and man, Columbus needs to do this, Columbus needs to do that. But wouldn't do nothing, just sat there and told everybody. Yeah. As a while, people like, man, you got to do something. I think there's a lot of black people that sit back and look like, man, if I can only do this. No, you can. You can do that.
You can't.
I feel like I don't know if it's a confidence thing or if it's an educational piece, but I feel like that is big, and I know that's missing huge in Columbus.
Golly. All right, look. Here's the deal. We can do this all day, but 7 o'clock, and I know people are going to tune out and they're going to be watching the debate in just a minute. So before we let everybody go, tell the people where, I'm sorry, y'all, this was a great conversation. Tell the people where they can find you on all your social media handles and when you're doing your next fundraiser. So
you can find me on Facebook. It's Jerone B. Wood. Now it's an N, Jeron as in Nancy, the E. My Instagram is Mr_Wood_06. I'm a frat. Shout out to Alphas. Other than that,
made some people in Bloomington happy.
Yeah. So other than that, I do have a PayPal. So if you'd like to donate, I have realized in the last 6 months, running the campaign is extremely expensive. Everything. Bro. So, but we've been. Let me take a quick shout out to my campaign manager, my sister.
Okay.
We have literally done everything in house. So whether it's T-shirts, yard signs, she's done it all in house. So she's making yard signs, making T-shirts, making stickers. We're literally doing everything in house. So
then I want your sister then to apply next year for Hoosier Women Forward.
So she's PayPal is JeroneWood2009@gmail.com. Any donation, period. I don't care if it's $2. It counts and it matters. But yeah, find me Facebook, Instagram, either or. That's all I have. Yeah.
And when's your next? You got a fundraiser coming up?
Not right now. We are on next one. We have a catfish dinner on October 2nd. Okay. But that's in Columbus. So if you guys are willing to make that drive on down, we are selling tickets for that. Like I said, it's all on my Facebook. I'm very active on Facebook. Okay. So find me on there.
And your canvassing and all of that they can find on Facebook too?
Absolutely. Everything. I try to keep up on that.
Because he needs volunteers just like he needs money. Gotta knock those doors, baby.
It's a lot of doors. Appreciate y'all help.
Miguel, tell the people where they can find you, man.
So you can find me on electmiguelhampton.com, and you spell my name MiguelHampton. No affiliation to the Hamptons, or I'll be rich. But it's electmiguelhampton.com. My Facebook page is the same thing, or you can find it at Miguel Hampton's public page. I'm telling you, if you type in Miguel Hampton, you're gonna find all my social. Yeah.
That's what's up.
So I'm a photographer, marketing guy, a bunch of other stuff. So it's out there. And
Democrats when he ain't running for office.
There it is. So when on my IG page is electmiguelhampton.com. So you can see me sitting there cool with a jacket and a funky hat.
Always cool.
Fundraising, I fundraise every day. No formal fundraising, right? So you can donate online. You can send us a check to the P.O. Box, which is online and all the social media platforms. If you like to host a fundraiser,
come on, you better call it.
Matter of fact, some donations have come in from Ohio. So if you want to have a fundraiser for me, if you want to do a meet and greet and they don't want to give out money, y'all just want to sit down and chop it up, we can do that too. Matter of fact, our first meet and greet was at the gun range. I brought him out. I said, come play the gun game with me.
Well, if we want this gun thing, if we want gun reform, I need every black person to go get and legally carry one. I guarantee the laws will change.
Oh, they are ready. Somebody saw them numbers.
Okay, like whoa. Black folks is getting guns now. We can't have that. Yo, Yo, thank y'all so much for driving all the way up from Columbus, driving all the way up from Jeffersonville, my bruh, to come talk it up and chop it up with us on Turn Left. Turn Left is all about showing Democrats love. We want to make sure that we are electing Democrats in 92 counties. This is not a central Indiana thing. This is a statewide thing. This is how we get down. I'm glad y'all had a chance to meet my mans in them. Cause listen, Miguel and I, we've been having them moments and just powwowing and trying to figure out how we can make things better. We done brought the young brother in now. This was on purpose. You already know that. Absolutely. But you got some great, the Hyatts, I'm telling you, they my people. I love Kate and Bob Hyatt. They are amazing. They're doing amazing things down there. Bartholomew County is the truth. They are a model of what county parties can be. I know that I'm supposed to be taking it easy, and I am going to be taking it easy, but I will be in Cass County for their first HH dinner, their fundraising dinner. So if y'all not doing much, I'm going to have some help getting up there. I'm not going to be alone, y'all, but you know, this. If somebody told me I couldn't run around the state and talk about who we are as Democrats, I think somebody might as well just go and take my heart out and donate it to science, because this is what keeps my heart beating, is talking about how we can improve lives in 92 counties. It's so great to be back with you guys. I still got a full lineup. You look at the flyer. We got more candidates coming from all over our state to talk about why they're running in 2019. You know me, November 6th is when I'll worry about 2020. In the meantime, y'all have a good night. Enjoy the debate. I don't care who wins. It should be entertaining, because you know Bernie Sanders will be on there. That's all I'm saying. Bernie Sanders. Yo, Indiana's on. I'm getting healthy. Thank y'all for the love and prayers. I promise I'll do better. I'll take care of myself. Peace and love, y'all. I'll let y'all next week.